Hey,
Yo, what's up? What's up?
how are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
What's been
It's been
going on? I mean, it's been a while since we
I know
actually
I
like.
haven't seen you in forever.
It's been such a long time. How you been?
Good. How are you?
I can't complain. I'm just trying to
hmm
hang in there with this quarantine thing.
Yeah, how are you doing during this? You're not getting interviewed.
Um, I mean, it's hard because I'm doing photography and I do a
Yeah.
lot of concert photography, entertainment photography. I was in Chicago for All Star Weekend and I was supposed to do Final Four, which was in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And that completely got shut down. That completely got canceled. So now, like, I'm at a standstill with like everybody else in the
Yeah.
entertainment industry. So
Yeah, we're all just like literally on standby. It's crazy.
exactly, exactly. And then that's what I wanted to ask you about is like, how are you holding up? How are you doing during this time?
Honestly, the first couple of weeks were like pretty rough,
Hmm.
only because it's a time kind of like you said, I was just kind of getting things back running. It's like this meme
Right,
going around, and it's like I feel like everybody's life was just getting on track before this, and that's like honestly how I
right,
feel.
right.
So it was kind of like I'm used to being on a routine, like a daily routine. So I
Hmm.
was just when this happened, that just got all off. My sleeping schedule was off. But I would say
Hmm.
now I've kind of just accepted the fact that this is our new norm temporarily.
Right,
So instead of
right.
me mentally dealing with it, I've decided not to. And I've started back being more productive in regards to New Atlanta and the business and stuff. So if that, I think I'm using this time to connect with potential partners and companies because everybody's like literally on their laptop right now.
Right, right.
So just connecting the dots virtually.
Hmm.
And yeah.
I mean, like you said, that's a good thing about right now is you can pretty much tap in with anybody you want to tap in. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
know
like
people can't
everybody,
say they missed your email. Like, no, you didn't. You're literally
exactly.
uncontactable.
Like everybody has time for you at this point. So it's good. Like once everything gets blown over, you can build up your connections. Reconnect with people like we're doing now. We're reconnecting because it's been a
Right.
while since we talked. Now it's
I
like let's
know.
make this happen. So I mean, that's the positive part about this. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So I
difficult,
mean,
but we're pushing through.
for sure, for sure. So I mean, let's just do a quick intro. Like tell the people who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into the interview part.
Okay, cool. So, for those who don't know, my name is Milan Amani. I am CEO and founder of We Are the New Atlanta Foundation. Basically, what we do is curate networking events, master classes, panel discussions, you name it, connecting local influencers, creative entrepreneurs, and or aspiring ones. We don't like to
Hmm.
limit. We don't like to limit our events or anything like that. We know that like Atlanta is a big socialite city, and I basically started the business when you kind of Atlanta's the type of city where it's like if you're not who's who, you're not invited, or if you don't know this person, you're not invited. So we wanted to create a niche and just a place, a safe space for people to just come out and connect and seek possible business ventures, just to meet like-minded people like them and things in that nature.
Right, for sure. And that's
Mhm.
how we actually met. Is I came out to one of your events. You know what
Which
I'm
one did you
saying?
come
So
to? The first one?
I don't think it was the first one. It was the one with the barber. Um, he
Uh,
was a he had his he
he
started
opened
his
up a
own barber shop.
shop. What's his
Yeah.
name? I
It
cannot
was
think of his
good
name right
though. It
now.
was it was so good. It was informative. It was in like the West Midtown area.
Yeah, that's
So
where
it
we
was real
typically like to
nice.
keep it because it's just like central. Um,
Hmm.
oh my gosh, I literally have a brain fart. I cannot think of his name right now. But yeah, that was like one of our first, like probably first 10, one of our first 10 events. But it was so good. He's so good.
For sure. I
Yeah.
see some people on this live. Shout out to Makumbi. Shout out to Angelica. Shout out to Crystal. Shout out to all my people that's coming in live. But I mean, so what inspired you to start the New Atlanta? Like
So I
how did you
originally
even come up with the idea?
Yeah, so I originally started New Atlanta as a clothing brand. I was like, I
Mm-hmm.
believe, a senior in high school and transitioning, of course, into college. And of course, Atlanta is the top number one city for entrepreneurship. So I kept hearing about like entrepreneurship and how you can make money by creating your own business and stuff like that. So at that age, I
Right.
was like 15, 16 at the time, 15, 16 at the time. And of course, the quickest and easiest way, I was like, I'm gonna sell clothes and I'm gonna have like all these Atlanta young influencers wearing them and I'm gonna make like $1 million. That's how I thought. So originally, when selling the clothes and during the pop up shops, the event wasn't even like about the clothes. Like people would come out and just connect. And like it was just like a
Mhm.
community of like the young photographers, the young publicists, like the aspiring literally generation of Atlanta. And so I took that as a business learning experience because sometimes what you think is your niche or what you think your audience wants is like completely different. And you have to always listen to your audience. Like you could
True.
write a whole business plan, but if they're picking up off of one thing versus the five other things you originally wrote, you have to focus on that one thing. So I
Mhm.
specifically thought I was going to make money off of clothing. That was not the case at all. So we just took it, we just understood, and we just started curating events. And we had a database from the pop up shops. So it wasn't hard to kind of like get the word
Right.
out. We just used what we
Right.
knew, of course, on Instagram and social media. And I think what was different from us, like I said, Atlanta's a big socialized city. There's like 100 events going on every night with like 1,000 people. So what we did originally was our events, and that's like the one you came to. Our events was only limited to the first 20 people.
Right. Right. Right.
So it kind of gave exclusivity, and it made people like jump on it. Like I want to be one of the 20 people. Um,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
So and it just took off. It just took off honestly from that.
I mean, the exclusivity part of it was a smart idea. You know what I'm saying? Just talking
Yeah.
branding and marketing. You know, that's what got me to buy my ticket so quickly because I'm like, hold on,
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to miss out on this. Like, this girl is
Yeah.
making moves. She's doing major things. I want to be in this circle. I want to connect with these people. So, I mean, I salute you for that. And then
Thank
also a
you.
part of this interview series is giving people their flowers, like while they're here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like highlighting the good and also like you're gonna tell some of the bad too. We're gonna get into that, but like I think that's the bad people hide the bad. But that's what makes you you and that's what keeps people
No, a
learning
hundred
and that's
percent.
what, you know, that's how success is made, you know?
Mhm. 100%.
So just go into your collaboration with Ford and Essence. I know that was a real dope event you had in Midtown as well. Like how did you connect that? And
Yeah.
I mean, that was a
That
crazy
was
event. Like,
honestly
just
crazy.
tell the people about it. Yeah,
That was honestly crazy. I think what was that, like 2018? I remember just
yeah.
being in my
It
bed
was a
and I got
lot.
an email. I checked my email and it was like email from Essence, and I like literally ignored it because I thought it was spam. Or it wasn't like directly from Essence. It was somebody's name, like somebody who
Hmm.
worked in the company, but it was like at Essence. And I was like, nobody from Essence is emailing me.
Yeah.
And then my mom, who serves, or who used to, she still does serve as my manager.
Hmm.
She has access to my email, and she was like, "Girl, Essence just emailed you," and I was like, "What?" And so, what Essence does every year is they partner with Ford Motor Company, and they do a campaign in the top cities like Atlanta, Chicago, L.A., D.C. It's called My Ford City Four Ways, and so they
Right.
pick an entrepreneur rep from each city, somebody who's in music, a chef, and somebody who's like an artist,
Right.
like a painter. And I got picked to be the entrepreneur rep for Atlanta, and I was like sick. I think it was like the first time
Yeah.
I got car service and everything. They sent car
Wow.
service to my house, yeah. And we shot a
Big
Ford
vibes.
commercial. Yeah, it was like ridiculous. I shot each of us shot our own personal Ford commercial. So I have my own Ford
Mhm.
commercial. And the day of the event, like I said, they sent car service and they allowed me to create a pop up shop. Thank you, Anissa. Love you.
Yo, shout
They
out to
allowed
Anissa.
me, yeah, shout out to Anissa, literally the hottest thing in Atlanta. She's
Hold on, let's
killing
just
it.
take a moment to give her her flowers because I mean,
Yes,
I feel
give
like
Anissa
she's
her
really
flowers.
slept on. She's really slept on. She's a big mover, underground shaker, influencer in Atlanta.
Yeah, she is
Shout
for
out to
sure.
Anissa. Yeah.
Shout out to Anissa. So during the event, they let me curate a pop-up shop and I was able to sell merch. And during
Hmm.
the event, they had on display like Ford's cars for the 2018 year and allowed people to test
Right.
drive them. It was a panel discussion as well where I got to speak and tell all of the attendees. I think it was like an average over like 500 people came out. And so I got to explain
Yeah.
New
It
Atlanta
was a lot
and
of people.
all. Yeah, it was hella people. I got to explain New Atlanta and all that we've done. And they honestly didn't even like know my age, which was funny. I think back then I was like 2018, I was like 18, yeah, 18, 19. And
Yeah.
they literally during the interview when I was shooting my commercial, they were like, okay, say your name, how old you are. And like all the producers just stopped and was like, what? And I was like, y'all didn't know this? And they were like, no. And they were like so in shock. So I've always had a good relationship with Essence. Since then,
Hmm.
I'm looking to partner with them in the near future for New Atlanta events and stuff.
No, that's great. That's great. I mean, so just
Hmm.
go into talking about how Atlanta plays a role in your life, and how like Atlanta, influences your lifestyle and your day to day. Like, what does the city of Atlanta mean to you?
I would say Atlanta. Honestly, I couldn't even imagine starting a business in any other city. Hey, Josh, love you. I couldn't even imagine starting a business in any other city only because it's like the culture of Atlanta in regards to its people and like even the companies and businesses here, people are just so receptive to just
Right.
stuff. Like anything I put out, um, it's just like people just support it, whether it's like stupid
Yeah.
or it doesn't
Yeah.
even make sense. Like
Right.
people just support it, and I think that's so dope. So I think in regards to Atlanta, the influence of Atlanta, it just makes me feel comfortable, and I think
Hmm.
that's important with running a business.
Right.
Um, and yeah, it just makes me feel really good. Thanks,
No, that's
Jared.
good. I mean, I agree. Coming from the music side is like you going into what you said with people just support no matter what it is.
Yeah,
Like even in music with artists and producers, like that's the cool thing about Atlanta is like people aren't afraid to put other people on. People aren't afraid
yeah.
to build. People aren't afraid to network.
And
There's not too
everything's
many
so
ego.
diverse. And I love what you do,
Right,
like what you guys did at SCAT, just of like
right,
emerging the music and the art
right.
and fashion. Like that's what it's literally all about.
I agree. I agree. I mean, that's why Atlanta is culture capital. I think
No,
Anish.
literally.
I first heard Anish say that, like, Atlanta's culture capital, like, because we're not afraid to work with each other and build each other up. You know what I'm saying?
Seriously. Oh, you're the GOAT. Hey, Josh. Oh, thank you.
So I mean, you being a young woman in the entertainment industry, there's a lot of things that can go on, and I've heard horror stories from other people. Can you go into talking about how it is being a woman in the entertainment industry?
Mm-hmm.
I know you're a very very respectable person.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like talking to you. Can you talk about how do you not compromise your morals by being a woman, specifically a woman of color in the entertainment industry? Like, if you have any stories you can share, you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to go into detail if you want, but just talk about that.
Um, Gratefully, I don't have like any very specifically like in-depth stories personally, but I can just speak from like of course other females, black females especially in the industry. I do know there's just a whole lot of weird stuff going on, especially in the entertainment. And in regards to me, from my past experiences, I would say um it's this thing, especially with let's just go ahead straight forward, working with guys and like older men. I think it's this thing if I of them wanting me to compromise my morals in a way of even just being in a meeting or just connecting in regards to business or bringing me on board to do an event for their company and things of that nature. It's not always, but sometimes it's been this thing of like they feel as if they have to flirt with me for them to
Hmm.
kind of just get to know me, for me to get to know them in general. And
Mm-hmm.
I would say to any female, it's just about seeing through that like instantly. And I think most girls are kind of, things can go left when most girls are blind to it and they kind of just feed into it without even knowing. It's a thing of just
Right.
like, you know, you're a female, you know, the industry you're in, you just have to be on high alert at all times. And yeah, you just got to be alert.
No, I agree. I agree, and I think I think it's a good. Those are some good points you made, and I just want to
Hmm.
salute you because we've been knowing each other for a few years now, and I've never
Yeah.
seen you do anything out the pocket or compromise your morals or what I'm saying. You kept your standards high, and
Oh,
I feel
yeah.
like
And I
that's what
want to
you have to do.
pinpoint also living in Atlanta and the culture of Atlanta.
Hmm.
There's, we have this like media culture of, especially, it's in every city though, but especially in Atlanta, of like Instagram girls and Instagram
Yeah,
models and things in that nature. And it blows my mind when I see girls, like young girls, like they really think that's like being a boss, or they really
yeah,
think that's like real. Like,
right,
yes,
right,
it works for them, which is
right.
great. By all means, get it how you get it. But it's like, you, when they name, like when you can name me like 10 IG models, but then you don't know who like Karen Civil is or
Right, right,
Issa
right,
Rae, then it's like, then we have issues. You know what
right.
I mean? So
Exactly,
I
exactly.
would encourage, and I try to do it on my social platforms, to just encourage women, to just and like showcase other Black women who are really doing the work,
Right, I
because you just
agree.
don't know what you don't see. So if these young girls aren't seeing Black women who are business owners, who do production and who are directors, and they won't know.
No, I agree. And talking about production and directors, I see Lydia just dropped in and Jeff just dropped in. Shout out to Taylor. But I think there's a good point you made. As I came up in the industry, I've seen that there's levels to this. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
100%,
And
yeah.
IG models is like this level, and then people like Karen Seal and all of these women influencers.
Mm,
They're about their business. They're at
yeah,
the top for a reason. So I think that just goes into not compromising your morals and realize why you're even in this business.
right.
And you just gotta you can see it. The girls who show their bodies and show more
Yep,
cleavage, they might get more attention on the ground, but like when you walk into a business setting, is that person in the meeting gonna take you
right.
serious just
And
because of
all
your
of that is
body?
just literally temporary
Right.
success, temporary
Exactly.
exposure. And I think
Exactly.
that's one thing that our generation, has to put more of a grip on, of like
Mhm.
thinking long term and really thinking like,
Right.
what I'm doing now, how is this going to benefit me or affect me or make me look,
Hmm.
5 to 10 years from now.
Hmm. No, I
So,
completely agree. Um, can you go into talking about some of your mentors? I mean, like,
oh
for you
yeah.
not to compromise your morals, you have to have like a strong support system. Like, who are some of your mentors? Who guided you along the way?
So actually, when I first started New Atlanta, a lady by the name of Oz, she goes by Makeup by Oz, she was my mentor. And she was a makeup artist. She works in the heart of West Midtown. But it was honestly like a family type of style relationship. Like we just claimed each other as sisters, not even like mentor mentee.
Mm.
So when I would be around her, and if in her place of work, she would do lashes, microblading, makeup. I would literally see her, like a Black woman in her late 20s, make like 2 grand a day. And I was like
Wow.
16. And I was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
So
yeah.
back to what I was saying earlier about just having an example, like I didn't even know that was possible until like I saw it.
Right.
And so I think she's played the biggest role in my career, only because like I was a part of her life, and she made me feel
Hmm.
like it was possible. Even though I didn't pursue makeup or anything like that, still just seeing a Black female who isn't, of course, promoting flat tummy tea or Fashion Nova or showing their
Right.
body like on
Right.
Instagram to bring in revenue, Like she would wake up, go to her shop, literally be in her shop from like 12 to like
Right.
9 p.m. just working. So I thought that was like really inspiring, especially at a young age.
What was something that she taught you? Like, what was some of the gems she gave you? What was some of the lessons?
She literally would just like not even verbally, but kind of just like having me around and showcasing me, like showcasing to me that like you can be your own boss. Um,
Right, right,
especially like I was saying, being a young girl, you kind of you have this especially nowadays, it's this mentality of like, oh, you have to be with a dude who has money or you have to do this and that. Like, I think her, and I think she kind of knew that with me being a
right.
young female. And so I think she wanted, of course, to show me, and the lesson was like, you can just get it on your own. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to compromise yourself. You don't have to compromise your morals.
Yeah.
She definitely taught me a lot about like social media marketing. With
Hmm.
her bringing in these clients, a lot of it was through Instagram promotion. So I think I definitely picked up on that in regards to promoting New Atlanta via social media.
No, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. I mean, so when you start a company, you know, there's a lot of ambition in it, you know. Can you go into talking about your biggest mistakes? You know, I think that's something that people don't
Hmm.
highlight enough, but I think that's what makes, you know, people and companies flourish is the mistakes, because those are
Hmm.
learning lessons. So can you just tell the people a few mistakes you made and how you
I
got over that?
yeah, I think the biggest mistake I probably made, and they kind of all fell under this rim, was that when starting a business, I thought that like I had to be this type of way for companies to like me or to want to work with me,
Hmm.
not knowing that companies and these big corporate companies that we think are so grand, they're literally dying to work with people like us in a
Hmm.
sense of like they need us low key more than we need them.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I think I spent so much money, so much money more than I needed to in regards to like building a website and just having all these like logos in regards to thinking that I needed all this stuff to get companies' attention when
Right.
literally I honestly truthfully I think I don't even want to talk. I think I spent like over 1,000, like $2,000 building like
Wow.
my first We're the New Atlanta logo. And this was, of
Wow.
course, because I was like young. And another thing was being younger and just having older people manipulate you is a real
Hmm.
thing in starting
Hmm.
business. Um, and so, of course, it was visible that I had a brand. It was bringing in revenue. I was so selling out events left and right. So, of course, like when I'm asking somebody for their services, of course, if they're not a good person, they're going to upcharge me.
Right.
Um, and
Right.
they did. And like now I look back at it and it's like I could have just got a Wix and like
Right.
created a
Right.
website for like $10, but it's
Right.
just lessons learned. But from a financial standpoint, I think I was just like trying so hard to have my brand be visible,
Right.
and kind of just honestly overthinking it. Like it's not that deep. Like when you go to these companies' websites or pages, like their stuff is so simple, so
Right.
simple, um,
Right.
and simple sells. So
It's true.
that's honestly the biggest mistake I made.
So I mean, it sounds like you just needed to know the business a little bit more.
Oh yeah, it's just trial and
You know what I'm
error.
saying? Trial and error. Okay. I mean, that's a good point. Um, You know, I think doing your research and doing studying,
Yeah.
you know, you should take business just like you take school, you know, just like
Mhm.
it's homework. Like you have to put hours and hours and hours, and then, you know, for you, the test is the launch, is the events you put on. That's the test. But you got to put in all these other study hours, you know, just like you would do for school.
Exactly. Yeah, I think of course it's this thing of like being an entrepreneur, you want everything so fast
Right,
and you want it
right.
to be so perfect. Instead of like you saying like doing your research and just being patient. So that's definitely one thing I learned with business is just to be patient
Mm-hmm.
and do your research.
Mm-hmm. Yo, shout out to Katie who just came in, a real cool female entrepreneur. Um, so I'm gonna get into, you know, one of the coolest parts of this for me is you went on tour not too long ago.
Yes.
Can you just talk about, you went on tour with Ari Lennox, who, if you
Yes.
guys don't know, Ari Lennox is signed to Dreamville, who is
Mhm.
J. Cole's, Dreamville is J. Cole's record label.
Mhm.
So can you just go into like how that came about and just give us the spill, give us the tea?
Yes. So most people do know my sister actually managed Ari at the time.
Mhm.
So me and Ari have known each other probably about 2 to 3 years prior, just like having that sisterly like relationship.
Mhm.
And it was a time where she had the opportunity to go on tour with Lizzo. So we were the opening act for Lizzo's Cause I Love You tour last year. And
Oh, that's
who
cool.
Lizzo was the biggest freaking artist of 2019. So that was sick.
Yeah.
And it was a time where Paris, my sister, also co-managed Lucky Day, and Lucky Day is signed to RCA,
Mhm.
and he's the upcoming like big thing of R&B as well. So with tour, it was a 2 month tour, which was longer than usual, and my sister just honestly didn't have the time to be at every date and to fulfill all the roles she typically would having two artists. So
Right.
and even with Ari, it's hard to just bring like they looked for an assistant and of course like did the original route, but it's hard to bring somebody into that personal life who you don't
Right.
know. So
Exactly.
everybody was like, "Oh, what about Milan?" Like, and I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah, I could do that.
and so music was not the music industry was never anything I inspired to be in
Mhm.
or anything like that. I kind of just fell in it, which was like really cool and a blessing. Like when your sister's just a manager and you're casually just being brought on a tour with one of the biggest artists of 2019. And
Right.
we everyone kind of debated about it because we didn't want to mix our friendship with business.
Mhm.
And so I literally got the call, I want to say like on a Tuesday, and was like, me and Justin, her manager now at the moment, he was like, we talked on the phone for probably like an hour, and we just agreed that that I would go through and do it. So I was brought on
Mhm.
board as her day to day manager and tour assistant, and
Wow.
he was like, okay, your flight's Thursday. You'll be gone for 2 months. Start packing. And I was like, it was literally the
Yeah.
most like surreal like moment. And so
Right.
that was like trippy because this was around this was in August, so I had a whole bunch of new Atlanta stuff planned for the rest of the year that of
Right.
course just got like wiped out in that very
Exactly.
moment. Um so yeah, all my friends came over. They were like so dramatic. Like all of them came over and helped me pack, and I was gone for 2 months after that day.
For 2 months. So talk about
Hmm.
being on the road. Like I know, were you on a tour bus? How
Hmm.
was like keeping up your diet on the road? Like what is that whole experience like?
So yeah, it was like the whole like thing. It was funny because the first show was in New Orleans, so I flew to New Orleans, but then we came back to Atlanta for One Music Fest the next day. So I flew to New Orleans the
Right.
first day of tour, flew back to Atlanta. So I flew all
Then
my
came
stuff to New
straight
Orleans
back
just to fly back, and then
just
the
to
tour
come right
bus
back.
met us in Atlanta, and from there on we just hit the road. I think the next stops were like Miami and things of that nature, and it was like it was just surreal. Like people just don't think like people think tours like fun and like you're just like living this life, but people like you said don't think about like the diet, how much
Right.
sleep you're getting, like
Yeah.
yeah, being having
Your
your
health.
flights paid for and traveling the world is cool, but like it's like ridiculous. Like we would say if we landed or if we arrived in the city at 2, we would literally take an hour nap. We would like eat, ordering
Right.
Uber Eats. Um, And by that moment, it's time to get Ari dressed and ready for a show. And then
Right.
getting her dressed, making sure I'm ready, packing her bags, packing my bags, making sure I call the Uber on time, making sure I'm communicating with the security and all that stuff at the
Right.
show, making sure she walks on stage on time. And then after the
Right.
cities, we're still like, we want to like go out, we want to do this, but
For
then
sure.
bus times at like midnight. The show ends at 9. We probably go out for an hour. Then I have to go back to the hotel, pack up
Right.
everything, pack up her stuff, pack up my stuff, load it to the bus, and then
Wow.
that's like every single day. So it's very taxing on the body. Um,
Yeah.
but it's taxing to the point like you don't want to eat bad. Like,
Right.
oh my gosh, this is B, our security guard. He's in here. Shout out to B. He was
Shout
like
out to
my
V.
road dog. He like helped me. We had like
Like,
10 bags of luggage that I could not carry by myself. So he always helped me.
yo, can you just go into talking about how it is having security, like wherever you go, like what's that experience like, and just like walking around with a celebrity, like,
Yeah, I think it's more, of course, impactful for Ari versus like me.
right,
Um, and thank God, like V, he was like a friend. So it honestly didn't even feel like security was like with
right.
us.
It's like your
But it'll
friend.
be funny, like when Ari, of course, she's still like a normal person, so she would want to just be like, "Hey guys, I'm going to the mall," and we'll be like, "Okay, V's coming with you," and then she'll try to like sneak off.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, you, honey, you can't go to the mall by yourself. Like
Right, you're
you just can't.
famous.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but even with that, in instances like that, we'll always try to give her space. Like even if we'll just like, we won't be like in the same stores with her, just being like close by, stuff like that. Um, but yeah, it didn't feel any different only because like V was like very like it was like family. So
Exactly.
like he made me feel like family. So it was just like always just having like somebody with us normally.
That's great. I
Yeah.
mean, can you talk about a crazy, wild experience you had on tour?
Oh my
Anything
goodness.
out the ordinary, or just like you just like wow, like something you came home and told all your girls about, something like that.
We didn't have like really crazy experiences. Also because um I think with this specific tour, Ari was an opener. So this wasn't like
Right,
her own physical
right.
tour.
There's
Um,
Lizzo tour.
yeah, it was Lizzo's tour. So like we weren't as a team, we weren't in control like as of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we've had like fun nights. Like one of the best nights me and Ari had was in like Toronto. And
Oh,
like everybody knows Drake's my favorite artist. So like just
yeah,
being
yeah.
in the club and like listening to Drake in Toronto was like so surreal.
That's a whole
Um,
different experience
yeah,
right
it was a
there.
whole different experience. I think one of the like most draining things for me was we were in Denver. We were on the West Coast and we were there for 4 days, and then we had to fly to Florida. She had a college show. So the thing, even with on tour, we would still hop off of tour schedule for her to still commit to her other bookings.
Right.
So we were on tour in Denver, flew to Florida for literally like 5 hours for her to do a show just
Wow.
to fly back to LA. So
Wow.
I think at like during that whole like day or two, this when I was like that's when it was like real like life, like real life catching flights, like real life, and you don't know what
Right.
time zone you're in. Um,
Exactly. Going
yeah, so I
across the
think that was the
country,
most
jet
like
lag.
yeah, that was the most like overwhelming, like realist, surreal thing that happened to me probably on tour.
Oh man. I mean, shout out to you. Like I said, a big part of this
Mhm.
whole keep grinding interview series is to give people their roses. So I
Thank
mean,
you.
I thank you for coming on. You have any last words you want to say to the people?
Thanks to Fred to call me the GOAT. But no, I just want to say thank you to you. I think this is so dope. Like I know people are like making these comments like everybody's on live, like all this stuff, but it's like people, this is like good stuff. This is stuff like
Right.
people will be getting paid for to just do in regards to like panels and stuff like that. So to be bringing people on and for people allowing people to share their gems is like amazing, and people should really like listen and tune in to all of this stuff.
Mhm. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But thank you for coming in. Shout out to Meech, shout
Mm.
out to Brian. Y'all tuned in the whole live, man. That's
Oh,
that's
Meech, is
major.
that he's an
Um,
amazing photographer.
he's so good. That's my homie right there.
Thanks, Brian.
Um, but thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yes,
Milan, thank
thank
you for coming
you.
on with me.
Thanks for having
Um,
me.
yeah, no problem. No problem. All right, I'm gonna talk to you later.
Okay, bye.
All right, peace. Hey, thank y'all for tuning in. Y'all want to hear any music? Anybody want to hear music? What y'all want to hear? Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Angelica. Thank y'all for coming in. What y'all up to? How quarantine going?
Shawty getting money, she a savage. Dressing all designer, she know
Shout out to Micah. Shout out to Selena, my mom.
That's the definition of a bad bitch. Shawty getting money, she a savage. Dressing all designer, she know average.
Jay Young off the Now or Never album.
Definition of a bad
You too, Brian. Thanks for tuning in.
Oops, I mean a bad bitch. I know that pussy good, but she won't fuck you if you average. Talk to a couple niggas, but they think I'm